welcome to our second edition of Keeping It Real Estate podcast with Colleen and Zach. We have Cam Fry here today.
Cam, welcome. We got our first guest here. I'm not going to give too much away, but North Bay boy, Ferris boy, none of these
Let him.
But that's all I'm going to say. He's going to take care of the rest.
How do you feel? Do you feel famous being on our podcast today?
I'm flattered to be the second episode.
First guest.
Yeah.
First ever.
First guest. This is very exciting. Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Cameron. I'm born and raised in the North Bay area. Went to West Ferris and then spent a decade away, school and fighting forest fires out in Alberta. I came home and now I'm the father of 4, happily married, and operations firefighter in Toronto, and I own the home inspection company at Buyer's Choice Home Inspection.
That's amazing.
Busy guy.
Yeah.
Busy guy.
I couldn't imagine 4 kids. 2 kids is enough for me.
Don't get outnumbered.
No, exactly.
No kids where it's at right now.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us what made you get into the business.
So I'd been in a firefighter for 2 years, and we were expecting our second son, our fourth, sorry, and I needed to figure out something so that Sam could stay at home and raise our kids.
Yeah, okay.
So I looked around to many franchises. A lot of them aren't attracted to North Bay because of the population. We don't have the population density that they want.
Yeah.
And a Buyer's Choice, a Canadian company, started out in the East Coast, and I saw the opportunity in the home inspection industry in North Bay, and I've taken that opportunity and run with it.
That's awesome.
That's
great.
good for you. There's not. I know. I use you all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Tax. You always got a pretty quick turnaround. So I think, and I think Colleen's used as well. Just it's good from your face, Ferris boy, of course, right? But easy, quick turnaround for me too, right? Because a lot of times things just happen the same day, or like, hey, last minute, can you do it tomorrow? They're only in town for tomorrow. And you're usually pretty good at responding and getting to people.
Yeah.
I feel like when you got into the business, you got off right away.
Yeah, and it really helped being with a franchise.
Yeah.
So I had Google ads, big Facebook, social media presence, and some familiarity, I guess.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as what we do. Like, you're self-employed, basically.
Yeah.
You got to put yourself out there, right? So,
Yeah, you
That's
got your
awesome.
name on everywhere.
Yeah.
Moving into the next one. So, license ready to go. How long have you been a home inspector for?
2.5 years now.
2.5 years time now.
I'm going to change it up a little bit.
Okay.
Get right into home inspections. What is the most common thing that you see as a red flag in home inspections?
A lot of electrical issues, and they're not really issues. It's missing
Old wiring,
covers.
Old wiring, too.
GFCIs?
GFCIs, but the thing with GFCIs is it's grandfathered in.
Yeah.
So if the house didn't have it when it was built, it doesn't need it now unless you do renovations and you got to bring it back up to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, loose wires, not in junction boxes missing cover plates, railings missing, which, for someone or people our age isn't a big deal, but the older population, it's a safety issue.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
Yeah. I think that brings us into our next point, about the older homes. Some of the stuff that may have not been code back in the day that you're seeing is code now. Like, what's like the most common thing you're kind of seeing? Like back in the day, not worried about not code. Now it's code, and that's probably like one of the first things you see when you go in there, right?
Yeah, it's the GFCIs and the AFCIs. So GFCIs you see at any receptacle within 5 feet or 6 feet of a water source.
Okay.
So laundry rooms, bathrooms, kitchens. And then AFCIs are arc fault, and they're supposed to be in any bedroom. So any bedroom breaker should be AFCI now. So unless you're updating the panel, you're not going to just go out of your way and do that. So if the panel is what it is, you just leave it as it is. But if you're upgrading, doing renovations, a flip, you have to bring it up to
all that
code.
stuff. Speaking of, not to put you on the spot here, I heard a little story the other day about electrical and a breaker.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you want to speak to that, but if you don't, that's fine too.
No,
I just heard
fine.
a little birdie told me in the office about a little mishap. Not that it was your fault or anything, but something happened, and
So sometimes we test AFCIs and it wouldn't reset. So I tried as I may, it would not reset, and that it had to do with the receptacles in the basement and the kitchen. So I called an electrician. I work closely with Spencer Link with ProLink Contracting.
Okay.
He's got a contractor out there the next day. And when he went there, he just reset the breaker.
That was it.
Yeah,
That's it?
it
Are
was
you
it.
allowed to do that? Like, are you allowed to reset the breaker if you're there?
Yeah, so because
Okay.
I tested the AFCI, I didn't mean to. I hit it with the panel when I was putting it back on. Those can be tested. Same with the GFCI in bathrooms. So usually you just turn it all the way to the off position and then it turns back
Gotcha.
on, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't do it for me.
Yeah, better be safe than sorry. And have an electrician out there.
Yeah, so I want to fix it for the seller also.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving into, kind of touched on the same thing we've been on to. What are some of the things that you can and some of the things you can't inspect that, like, maybe I know you and I have had quite the, every now and then you'll have quite the request, we'll say that,
Yeah.
from a few clients and saying, I need you to do this, you have to do that, and just maybe give us a run through on some of the things you can and some of the things you can't do.
So like I can't see inside pipes.
Yep.
I can't see behind walls. I'm not supposed to move people's belongings. So if the person has a lot of storage in a room or in a laundry room, I'm not supposed to move it. I can't move appliances.
Right.
So I try as I may. I try to gather as much information about the property as I can. We don't test appliances. So appliances are any appliances in the kitchen, stoves, fridges, laundry appliances, and that also goes to water filter systems,
Okay.
water softener systems. So we check to make sure they're hooked up properly. There's no leaks.
Yeah, and like we could get, I mean, we do it all the time, get water samples for our clients and stuff like that. But
Exactly, and that's another thing. Like some clients don't know that real estate. This happens not with the agents in our area. Sometimes agents outside of the area that aren't used to doing water samples, they don't do it, and issues are arise after.
yeah, sometimes your mortgage company and our insurance need that
Yeah.
clean water to basically release the
Yeah,
funds.
you can't get a mortgage unless
Yeah.
you have a good water sample.
Yeah, or good
So
lender.
basically a non-invasive inspection.
Yeah, typically it's visual. So I will open electrical panels. I will open crawl spaces and attics and go in as far as it is safe to do so for the building and myself.
Are you allowed to take the cover off the furnace to look at it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%
What
take
about
that.
septics.
Septics, I do septic inspections. So
Okay, is that just? I mean, run me through it real. High
so
level, I
septic
guess.
is it's a visual inspection again too. It's tough because about 80% of the septic tank is filled with contents.
Yeah.
So we take the covers off. We run taps in the property for about 15 minutes, about 250,
Pressure, things
300
like that,
liters. So we're testing the pressure tank, we're testing the water system in the house, and then we're seeing proper flow through the
Yeah,
septic
it's not
system.
dropping on you or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we want to check the level of the contents. So there's the top and the bottom layer. We put a stick in there and check how deep each is.
You don't stick your arm in there?
I have stuck my arm in. 1 in 5 septic
Come on.
septics need or more
Cam
attention.
Fry arm in there?
Yeah, when it's backing up and you got to put the lid back on, you're like, what am I gonna do?
Oh,
Put the lid
God.
on quickly and tell them to call their septic
Oh,
guy.
that's
You take it
hilarious.
off and it just starts bubbling up, and you're like, oh
disgusting.
goodness. Yeah, it's. I find the septic super interesting, but yeah, they're.
Is it true that it actually is better to have a fuller septic to actually make sure that it's working? Like if a septic was just emptied, it's hard to tell if it's working properly, right?
Yeah, you can visually look at the inside of the tank, but for it to be flowing properly, going out to the leaching field, you
Yeah.
want it to be full so that you can run the
Yeah.
water.
Okay. What happens if people have problems after an inspection?
This
Say they move in and the furnace breaks down or something happens after they move in.
Blame the inspection guy, right?
Always blame the inspection
Blame the
guy.
inspection guy.
That's a tough one. We do offer a warranty program. It's a buyer beware market. I try to gather as much information as possible for these buyers.
Yeah.
At the same point, and this you guys set clients up specifically for this too. They need to have reserve money
Sure.
for painting.
Things
Yeah.
come up.
Things come up to make sure that no house is move-in ready, and that's a misconception. But if things do happen, I do try to work with them. I can, if it was something that egregious that I missed, then yes, we will go through the proper legal ramifications, but if
Yeah.
it's something that's come up that's outside my domain, I can refund their money, make sure that they're completely happy. I go out of my way to find contractors for them to make sure
Yeah, I
that,
think that's a
Yeah.
big one that not everybody does do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes realtors or inspectors don't go out that extra mile, go out of the way and say, hey, maybe I missed this, or hey, when I saw this, it wasn't the greatest. Here's a number. This guy's really reliable. He can come out here tomorrow.
yeah, and that's the one thing I've in the 2.5 years, I find contractors that work with me very well that answer the phone.
Yeah.
James Scanlon with Connected Plumbing, and then Spencer Link with ProLink Contracting.
Yeah.
I will, and it helps me too because I don't know everything, and I'll honestly
No.
say like I don't know this, and I'll call them up and be like, "Teach me."
What do you
Yeah.
think?
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
I find too it's important for us as realtors to explain to our clients like you're going in on that day, you're inspecting the property that day.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that in the next week or month there's not going to be water in the basement.
Yeah,
right?
and that's a
Like,
big one too because okay, we're going in the summer, it's nice and dry, or we're going in the winter and everything's frozen.
yeah.
I'm in there for 2 to 3 hours, and the inspection only encompasses that point in time, and then we'll get the spring comes and water. If you don't manage the water around your property, you don't manage the runoff. Things do happen, and people need to understand that houses need constant maintenance.
Yeah. And do you think that it's extremely risky for people to buy in the winter where you can't really see the lots and grounds or the shingles on the roof or things like that?
It can be, but the nice thing is, so usually if people are going to sell a house and you have some history of that person being in the house, if they've been in there for 30 years,
Yeah.
typically those people take great care of their homes.
Yeah.
If it's a property that's bounced around a few times, it's sold a couple times in the last like 5 years, then there might
Red
be
flags.
something, red flags.
Yeah.
You look for the red flags, and that's the nice thing that you guys, the realtors, you look
See
for the
that.
red
Yeah.
flags too. So you
Exactly.
set me up to do my job properly because you vet the properties for the right clients, and then I come in and you guys make my life real easy.
That's the
You
plan.
help make our life easy too. So
Yeah.
it's give and take.
Yeah, that's true. And then speaking about maybe not making things easy, can you give me a story or a time that's happening? Maybe the craziest experience you've had, whether it's a septic or you've fallen through a roof or just something crazy
Yeah, what's
that
the
happened.
craziest thing that's happened so far?
I've gotten stuck on roofs. You walk up the roof
Yeah.
and you're like, I can do this. You walk up, and then I look down, and I'm like, oh, how am I gonna get down? Like inching down. So I am very careful with roofs now. There's not really much crazy. I've been in crawl spaces with like 4 feet of water.
Gotta love that.
Yeah. It's interesting. And then some of these rural properties that are in unorganized townships, you see some interesting do-it-yourself jobs.
Homemade
Yeah.
septic.
Yes, homemade septics. That's a good one too. Seen one that was made out of cinder block. I've seen some that have the top of it was made out of timber.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Sounds legit.
yeah. Then you're only wondering
Definitely
what.
buyer beware there.
Yeah, you're wondering what the leaching field looks like. Is it actually tubes
Yeah.
or like?
Now we know it's septic sold as is with this property.
Yeah.
Makes
No
sense.
With the crazy story, I think Colleen had a little tidbit to that, but it's probably within the same lines. Just a crazy story. What's a funny story you've had?
Oh, okay.
If
So
you can give me one funny story you think off the top of your head,
Yeah.
whether it's from a client, you've seen something crazy at a home, it's just like, this is hilarious.
He's got one for us. I
yeah.
can
got
tell.
one loaded up.
So
Load it
thankfully,
up.
you guys sent me these questions before. So me and my wife were thinking about these last night, and she texted me like, I was in the sauna, and she texted me, and she's like, "Okay, you have to tell this story." So props to her. I was at an inspection, and the sellers were still there. They had a few kids. And the one kid comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, you look like this YouTuber." And I'm like, "Okay, like I don't know who this YouTuber
Let me
is."
see. Let me see.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
show
we
me
got
this
pulled up.
YouTuber. And he's like, "You look like this guy." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And the other kid from the other room, and he's like, "But you have a better mustache." Died.
That is amazing.
I was like so flattered.
We got it. It's gonna happen. We gotta get who this YouTuber is, and we're gonna put a picture up, probably a poll,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
say who thinks Cam looks like this.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I'll,
gonna
I'll
happen.
figure it out. I couldn't remember. My wife couldn't remember either, but
Oh,
I was
shoot.
like, that's awesome.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Someone did send in a question, Joel, and
Yeah,
he
Joel,
asked if you have any tips or if there's anything different when doing an inspection for an investor.
Okay.
client.
Yeah. So investors, sometimes it depends. So typically they'll want a full inspection also, which is great. And then some understand the property is going to go through major renovations. So they just want a structural inspection. So that includes like basements, all the structure, attics, roofs, and then the utilities like your water, your electrical, and your heating source.
Yeah.
So it's more the meat and potatoes compared to everything because they don't care. They'll be changing
Right.
all the interiors. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
you
just
kind of
kinda-
have like 2-tiered inspections. Like you could do like a quick 3-point inspection or whatever to look at all the big stuff.
yeah,
And then you'll do like a full on 3-hour.
yeah. Where
at
I'm
everything.
testing everything. I'm opening
Yeah.
cabinets for the people that like want to know everything. So they have a maintenance list of things that okay, we can get to that later.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
I don't speak to the interior fixings like floorings, wall coverings.
Yeah.
I mean, I do speak to the cabinets, but that way they understand, okay, we'll come in, we'll do this, and they'll usually have their contractor look at the report and be like, okay, yeah, no problem, we can do this for this amount of money.
rough amount of it's going to cost you
Yeah.
and where to look when I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about? Like it's important to tell people that are listening right now?
Well, I mean, I guess I can throw this out there. I own the franchises North Bay and Muskoka. I'm in the process of purchasing one more. So I'm trying to build a firm for all of Central and Northern Ontario. And a firm is just a bunch of inspectors.
Yeah.
So because the buyer's choice has a certain standard all across the nation, that I'm trying to bring on team members.
Perfect.
There's a website they can go to gather more information. They
Yeah.
get vetted by the regional manager first.
Okay.
If he jives with them, then we do a sit down and see how we work together.
Yeah.
And then we go from there, and they have to do a Carson Dunlop, which is a private college training, 10 courses.
Okay.
It takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And then we do 10 test inspections. So they'll go with myself or Corey Firth up in Sudbury, or there's a bunch of inspectors down in the GTA.
Yeah.
So they get different aspects or views of how to do inspections.
That's awesome.
They get everything given to them, all the marketing material, clothing. Yeah.
That's what's
swag.
nice about a franchise. Is
Yeah,
like you really
it's
get the training.
it's a
So
do-it-yourself
you know
business.
When someone like yourself is getting in the business, that you have been properly trained and
Yeah.
you know what you're doing, basically.
Yeah, and then and it's fairly affordable for sub-franchisees to come on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We
Well,
appreciate you.
yeah, I think we both thank you for coming on,
Yeah.
taking the time out of your busy schedule to
I-
talk to us, give us some do's and don'ts and some of the things that not a lot of people know about, right?
I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'm glad that Zach changed his sweater this time.
That is like an even more grandpa sweater than the last.
I don't know if you guys did this over at Whitfield, but we partied at Ferris. This is called a party carty.
Oh, okay.
We partied Whitfield. I don't know what you guys did, and you didn't do sports. I know that. You didn't do
That's
sports.
so rude.
We were partying. We were playing sports at Ferris. We did a little bit of academics on the side, but we got there.
Yeah.
I don't even have a good comeback for that, so I'll let you have this one.
It's a win.
Outnumbered
That's a
over
win.
here.
Mark it down. Episode 2 with Cam Fry. That's a win.
Oh my god.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. It gives me exposure, and then I'd be happy to come back, and I look forward to it. I giggled along with you guys in the first episode. It was really nice.
Good.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll get you at like the end of the summer, and maybe we'll have a couple more good stories for us.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get you into some septics.
Yeah.